Hi everyone.
Hello, guys.
Uh-oh. I don't want to be an echo. Hi, Wendy Brown. Hi, Mary. Hi, Anaya. And y'all just bear with us. We can wait for a few more to come and join us. As you can see, we're trying something new because of the weather. So I'm not with my partner this time.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me? Can they hear me, Bree?
Yes, well, I can hear you. Y'all let me know if you can hear Brenda. Yep, seems like it.
Okay. Okay. Hey, Anaya. Okay, good, good. Do we sound like robots, y'all? Is it coming through clear? Let me get back. She
Okay,
said,
we
"Do we
sound
sound clear?"
clear.
Okay, good deal.
Oh, you forgot to represent. I don't have the transparent glasses. Weird. And then you let me know when you're ready over there.
Give me one more
Mm.
second. I'm so sorry. Ooh. It's very different being in two different places, but it's okay. We will get through this. Transparent Tuesday. We will get through this. I hope everybody's had a great day. It's still going to be a wonderful evening with these technical issues. Probably a user error on my behalf. but yeah, we're going to get going in just a moment. I'm just trying to get this right. All right, Brittany, I am ready. I think I am ready. What happened to my? All right, Brittany, I'm ready. Let's get going.
Clear.
Hi, Lyric. Happy Transparent Tuesday.
Yeah. Okay, so normally I do my shades, but I don't have them because I'm over here. But today, y'all, we're going to talk about something that a lot of us feel, but don't always have the language for. And just because something fits in your life doesn't mean it actually belongs there.
Yeah. Say that again, Brittany.
I said just because something fits in your life doesn't mean it actually belongs there. Hey, BJ. Hey, Michelle.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely.
Yes,
I thought that
let's
was
talk.
worth typing again so people could see it because it is so vitally important. Yes, Miss
Mhm.
Mary, it is true. And it, like Brittany said, is sometimes things that we don't have the right language for to to work through or to go through. But it is so true. Just because it fits in your life does not mean it belongs there. And I know I can attest to that on several things. So we can go ahead and get going, Brittany.
Yeah. And so that applies to relationships, jobs, habits, beliefs, even versions of ourselves. Because being transparent, I definitely have many versions of myself. Um, and so,
Yeah, so as we listen, we want to invite you to be able to analyze as we're talking. Put the comments in. We love interaction. Lets us know you're there. Lets us know you're understanding what we're saying. And plus, you may say something that's beneficial to someone in the community that we may not have experienced or thought about. So we
mhm,
love for you to interact with us when it comes to that. So we want you, to analyze that and, just notice like, what things are resonating with you. Y'all do a very good job of that when we're talking, letting us know what things we're talking about resonates with you. That's so important for us to make sure that we're talking about things that matter to people. We're talking about things that it's life and life be life and right, and so we want to
mhm.
make sure that you're able to analyze what we're saying and then make sure that you're able to be able to the information we're sharing resonates with you in some way.
Yep. And so we have a few subtopics, and so we're going to talk a little bit about each. And like she said, please feel free to comment. If you see me looking both ways, because we are doing what we can, working with what we have, I do have my phone and another screen here, so I'll be looking periodically to see. And Mom, you just helped me with that too. So let's define it. So we're going to talk about fitting versus belonging. And so I wanted to define it by saying this in simple terms, right? So fitting is about adjustment, and belonging is about alignment. And so I'm going to say that one more time. So fitting is about adjustment, where you're trying to adjust yourself or just whatever the situation may be that you may be in or whatever the thing maybe, versus belonging is about alignment, where
Yeah.
okay, this aligns, this resonates with me, this is like me, similarities.
Right. And so with fitting, you ask yourself a question, right? Like, how do I make this work? Right. When you're trying to fit something in, or you try to, think about that like a puzzle. You're trying to get that puzzle piece in or something like that. Or you're trying to put something in something like a charge of a phone. You're trying to make sure you got the right piece to go inside that phone. So that when you think about fitting, think about that, trying to make it work, right? Trying to make this work. And then belonging, you can ask yourself the question of, can I be myself here? Right. So I don't know about no one else, but I've had those moments where I'm looking around the room like, do I supposed to be here? Do I fit in here? So though when you think about those two things that we're going to talk about in this particular segment, fitting versus belonging, think about those questions. Ask yourself that, fitting, ask the question of how do I make this work? And
Mm.
then belonging, ask the question of can I be myself here?
Yep, because and a lot of us, we really are good at fitting. Like we learned early.
So let's talk about it. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, and we're gonna tap into that too, where yeah, when it belongs, it doesn't feel forced. Absolutely.
Yeah.
100% agree.
And can I just interject something right there with that, bringing about when trying to feel like if you belong somewhere. And excuse me, y'all, excuse me, I've heard people say, I'm with this group, or I'm going to this particular thing, or I belong to this particular thing, but I feel like nobody sees me, or I feel so uncomfortable. um being in here. I don't feel like this is the right place for me. And I don't care what that place is. I'm talking about, just think about where you've been, what you situations you've been into, or things you've joined, or things of that nature. You get to a place where you're like, you sometimes are feeling like, do I really belong here? Is anybody seeing me? Am I included? Feeling like people are excluding you and things like that. That to me came to mind when lyric says that about, if you belong there, it doesn't feel like somebody's forcing you to go. So I just wanted to interject that.
Mhm. Yeah. And especially like if being yourself or ourself once, cost us love, safety, or even approval. And I feel like that's where compassion comes in. You didn't choose this out of weakness, right? You chose it out of survival, or at least, like I said, I can speak on my behalf. It's like I didn't choose it out of weakness; it just chose it out of survival. Um, and so, what are you all takes on that, or do you guys have like personal examples um, that you're willing to share?
And these are examples of where we felt like being ourselves cost us Brittany love, or cost us safety, or cost us approval. We're sharing those type things. Is that
Uh
what we're
huh.
okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I'll share one while we wait for others to load up. But I think for me, one that comes to mind is the situation I had on Friday, and I had several, but this particular situation I chose to show compassion, um, in that, and it didn't make me look weak. I didn't feel like I was weak, because even though I am the leader, there are times when, and I just believe this with all my heart, a great leader knows when to follow. You don't always have to lead everything. I don't care who you are. You don't always have to lead. There's sometimes you need to get behind and follow. And so even though this person was talking, and they were upset, they were very upset. But instead of me, um, forcing something, or feeling like I'm trying to force myself into a situation, and getting here and fit in to make this person feel better. I just chose to listen, and I chose to hear what that person was saying, and know that what they were saying was actually true. And so instead of taking and being on the defense, I chose to be on the offense. And I chose to show compassion because I really did not know that those things had happened. And so I could have easily, tried to force myself on her, or, make her have a conversation with me when she was very upset, but I didn't. I just chose to listen. And then once I heard everything, I then decided to move my way in. So to me, that was me, as an example, like fitting in, try to figure that thing out, when to place myself in there, not force something for her. So for me, that's what comes to mind. Lyric says, being true to my spiritual beliefs has led me to letting go of certain friendships. I didn't go into certain groups. I don't go into certain groups anymore. Yeah, it will make you do that. No love lost, just accepted the change. I like that lyric.
Mm-hmm.
No love lost. I just accepted the change. I like that.
Yep.
I like that. I
Yeah.
like that.
And I definitely been through the same thing. And well,
Yeah.
she knows we talk about it, but it is hard. And you can kind of, you have a safety net when it comes to safety. I don't care if it's relationship, and relationships is defined in different ways. And it also doesn't always have to be with a significant other. It can also be a relationship with your friends, with peers, with a certain type of group, if you build relationships there. And I feel like sometimes, and I know for me, since we're sharing, I got comfortable, right? Because I was comfortable with the familiarity of them, or of certain things. And it comes in where it's like, okay, got to let go of the fear. And that's when compassion comes in for myself, like that self love, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes we can join certain groups or be part of certain things. Um, because we want to feel love or wanted. And the first thing you have to do is know where the greatest love comes from, which is God. But then also, then you have that self love. And I feel like when you choose yourself, it's not a sign of weakness. It's not a sign of like you failed or those friendships failed, like Lyric said. You chose and got survival. You had to survive for yourself. And so I agree with that. I can resonate with that.
Yeah. Yep. And so we'll move into the next one. And Brittany, like she told y'all, we're on our phone and trying to work this system. So we want to make sure that we keep these conversations fluent, and that we keep on track of our thoughts that we had when we were talking about these things and putting it together. So one thing, as we talk, I love analogies. If y'all didn't know, I think Brittany does too.
Oh, hi,
Uh,
Dom. We got him on Instagram. Sorry, I forgot about
Oh,
Instagram.
hi, everybody. But I do love analogies because it's easier sometimes to look at an analogy and be like, oh, that okay, I get it. I get what they're saying. So my thing was, let's talk about a shoe. So everybody think about the shoes. You go in the store, you see these cute shoes, and you like, oh yeah, I'm talking about me. And I'll be like, oh, I like these cute shoes. I like these cute shoes. And I know good and well that shoe is not in a size 8.5, right? And I'm looking, oh, come on, come on, be in my box. Come on, where the box at? And then I go and I pick out that 8, knowing that I need an 8.5. Okay. So I go take that shoe box off, and I'm just excited. Now, in my mind, I already know we're going to have a problem because I need a half size more, right, in this shoe. And so we tend to take that shoe off that rack, out that box, and be all excited. But then I put it on and it fits, right? I wiggle that thing, right? Put on one of the little stockings they have on in the store, and put that shoe on. Boy, that shoe is on, and I'm thinking I'm doing something. And then the next thing you know, I take it home knowing good what I jam myself into that tight spot. And then I get home and you start walking in them shoes, boy, and them feet start curling up like this. And you and walk them things wrong, because you tried to fit your foot in a shoe that you knew was going to be a problem.
And we just keep wearing it because it look good, right?
Yeah,
Or because it costs a lot, or This the one someone gifted to us, and they're gonna be watching to see if you actually won it.
Yep, yep. Yeah, and I know that ladies, we are really guilty of it, but I do know there are men folk that do that same thing. They want that the pair of Jordans, or they want that nice uh dress shoe, and they like, man, I'm just gonna squeeze my foot in it. I ain't got to wear it but a couple hours on Sunday, and then I'll be all right. And they get home and got blisters and things. So that analogy.
Um, Y'all, wait a minute. Let me see what happened to my part. Well, while we waiting on her, I'm not sure uh, what happened, but I will um, continue, and she can just jump back in. I'll see if I get a message from her. Um, but that's typically how relationships work, y'all. Nothing is technically wrong, but something always aches. And just think about it when you're trying to force it, um, and trying to, make the relationship work. Like I said, whatever that relationship may be, sometimes there's nothing wrong with it. You just kind of outgrown it, or you're trying to make yourself squeeze in and fit in, and it hurts. So the real question is, how many blisters do you need before you admit that the shoe isn't for you? And y'all give me a second, but just think about that. Um, if the shoe doesn't fit, how many blisters do you need before you admit that the shoe doesn't fit for you? Yeah, I can hear you. I'm just gonna copy you back in.
But another
There you
thing
go.
too with that, Brittany, that's just like in relationships, right? We have, we have a lot of relationships that we try to fit into.
Yeah,
And
that's
when
what I just said. Well,
yeah,
go ahead, we on one accord.
okay. Yeah, you try to fit in too. And it's like, it's over, right? But you're still trying to jam yourself into that. And it's not just when people talk about relationships, a lot of times people like to go to, the greetings, Apostle Woods. People like to go to, the woman and man, right? But it's so many other relationships. There are so many other type of relationships, and we find ourselves trying to fit in. And to Lyric's point, when you've had a change in your life and you're trying to be more Christ-like, well, it's hard for you to do that and still try to fit in with those things that used to be familiar, right? Because it's going to be very difficult for you to keep going back and trying to fit in when God is moving you over to something else. And so, I love that shoe analogy because it's true. We try to fit into something, right? And even with relationships, right, with the opposite sex, we try to make something work that you've tried. You've jammed it to the left. You jammed it to the right. You wore that thing till your toes are raw, and you're still trying to make something work when it is time to walk away. And what I love that Lyric said is, and it's okay, right? It's okay. Even relationships on a job. I'll be the first one to tell you, I stayed at my previous job too long, even when God was telling me it was time to go. And every day became harder and harder. It was like every day I put that shoe on, and it was harder and harder to walk in that place with a smile on my face, feeling like I'm just cramped up, like I'm suffocating. But I still kept trying to fit myself into something that had ran its course. And it's not that it was a bad relationship, because hey, it taught me things, it paid the bills, things of that nature. But when you get to a place where it's no longer fitting really well, and you're trying to jam that thing, and you got that resistance, it's time to be okay to say, you know what, I've outgrown this, right? That used to be me, but I've outgrown this. And so I have to give myself, here it is, I have to give myself permission to move on, right? That's the key. So I'm sorry, Bree. It's
No,
good
no,
to be
no,
on
you're
one accord,
fine.
but I came back and I'm like, I don't know what's going on, but we are not going to be defeated. We moving on. Whatever technical difficulties, we working through this thing, okay? Because
And so,
I feel like this is so important
mm,
for people to understand and get, because a lot of times these things are what keeps us from being able to move spiritually as well. It,
yeah,
it, it keeps us from being able to accept what God has given us as well, because we fear of not fitting in anymore of the place that He's delivered us from, right? Or losing those friends, or losing, even sometimes loved ones, when we make changes. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
yeah. Well, we have God will never put more on you than you can bear. When it becomes too heavy to carry, time to let it go.
Yeah,
Greetings, Apostle. Um, it doesn't take but one pair for me. No, that's right. Obedience is better than sacrifice. Absolutely.
absolutely,
How long
absolutely.
are you willing to go through the pain before you realize it's not going to work?
Yeah,
Amen.
that is so true.
Hmm.
So
And it's like growth, discomfort strengthens you. So when you're discomfort or feeling discomfort and growth, it strengthens you. Misalignment will definitely wear you down.
yeah, yeah. And I think with like growth, Brittany, like you said, with growth and it being discomfort, I always relate to growing pains. When
Hmm.
we're growing up and you get them pains, when you're 10, you're good. You get them teens, you start feeling a little something, something. Men call it Charlie horses. You start feeling those growing pains, and it doesn't feel good all the time. And so you look at that with your growth, right? In Christ, your growth in yourself. That sometimes growth doesn't bring total comfort, and so I think that that is something that we have to look at too. And even I've heard people say, "Oh, he was. I went to church. He was preaching on me." And or the message didn't feel good. It made me feel a little uncomfortable. But God loves you enough to tell you something that is for your growth. And when sometimes when we're listening and we kind of got that carnalness going on, like we kind of here and there, we don't receive it like it's meant to be. And so sometimes we can get offended. But for
Yeah,
the
what's
most
that
part,
spirit of
sometimes
offense?
growing feels uncomfortable. Like I know if somebody says something, I'm like, oh, I'm guilty of that. Oh yeah, I'm guilty. It don't feel comfortable, but it's a part of growth. And so as long as you know that you're growing, that's the key, and giving yourself permission to grow.
Oh,
That's
yes.
key.
Yes, yes, yes.
So at the end of the day,
Conviction. Mhm.
yeah, conviction. Yes, conviction. I'm not, if the shoe fits, I know that's right. If the shoe fits, but if that shoe don't fit, you gotta quit it. You gotta throw it. You gotta put it back, and let that person who wear that size come put that shoe on, because that is not for you. You gotta let that shoe go if that shoe don't fit. I like that. Um. So yeah. So we'll go to our next one. Talking about sitting in that wrong chair. Oh my goodness. Let's just think about that. Let's think about that. when we
Right now,
at the desk
struggling.
and we sitting in a chair, y'all know sometimes y'all be in them chairs and them chairs get low. You be like moving around. Oh God, my back hurt. Or some chairs are not comfortable to the tush, and you have to stand up, right? You be like, oh, I've been sitting too long. You wiggling in your chair like that. Some of us get them bad postures, right? Down like this because we in a chair that we no longer belong in. So I want to move into that, talking about sitting in the wrong chair.
Yeah, because I know we're doing analogies. So again, this is in every realm. Think about it in the spiritual realm, physically, and even mentally. But right now, physically, because I had to take over a room, this chair right here, right, it can hold me. But sometimes a chair that can hold you can also ruin your posture because y'all, I'm holding on, but I'm you might see me rocking like this and scooting up because it's so uncomfortable.
Yeah, yeah. And that's the thing. It'll hold you, right? So the chair does its job. The chair's job is to make sure that it is sturdy enough to hold what's sitting there, right? To bring you a stable place of rest off your feet. But all chairs are not comfortable, and all chairs are not made for everybody, right? For those that's got the hips, or men who legs are thick, and they need to be able to spread their legs out and things like that. Well, sometimes those airplane chairs not comfortable either. They have your knees up to your chin, feel like, especially if you're a tall statured person. Those chairs don't fit right, or you're a little on the loving side. Those chairs are not comfortable. You're squished. So we have to know that sometimes we can be sitting in those wrong chairs. So, and then I look at it from a standpoint of like emotional, right? So if you think about it, you get tense. Your body gets tense when
Yeah.
you're sitting uncomfortably,
Yep.
right? And you start to tension. You start that tension starts to set in, and that's where you get to wiggling, and that fatigue is coming because you're uncomfortable, even though the chair is holding you. There's still tension being built up. Could be from your posture or anything. Lord knows, I know I have to sometimes be like this
Hi,
and make
Jamia.
myself sit upright in my chair. So again, just because the chair holds you doesn't mean that it's fitting you in your moment. Um, so we always have to make sure that we monitor what chair we're sitting in. And so everything you said, that's right. So we have to monitor what chair we're sitting in. Sometimes we can be in wrong chairs that didn't have our name on it. So we need to switch around and go play musical chair and find the right chair that we belong in for that period in time in our life.
It's like you said, it holds you. So it's like you don't feel unsafe, but you don't
Right.
feel supported either.
Yep. That's good. I like that. I like that.
Hmm.
Not that you don't feel safe, but you don't feel supported either. And either. And I think that relates to life. Sometimes you think about that. So people talk about the support system. We talked about that a little bit last week. It's so important to have a support system. I don't care what
Yeah.
no one says. I don't care what phase of life, whether it's personal, church, business, whatever. It You need a support system, because we all are human. We're gonna have our good days. We're gonna have our bad days. We're gonna have our challenges. And we need a support system. We really do. We need people to encourage us when we're having this a little bit of trouble encouraging ourselves. We need people to push us when we're getting a little lax and we're getting a little on the lazy side and not doing what we know we got to go do, what God has charged us to do, what you dreamt and you're supposed to go pursue. Sometimes you need that extra push from somebody that loves you, to want to see you get over that finish line. So I think that, when I think about all of that, it's like we got to make sure that we are having that support system. So, because my thing is, when you sit in a chair, when I think about it, and you look and sit in a chair that's not fitting, even though it's safe, it's not fitting, it's not comfortable. And the longer you sit there, the more you forget what comfort even feels like. Do you
Ooh, say
understand
that
that?
again. Say that
So the
again.
more that you sit in that chair, just because it's supporting you, right? It's safe. It's a safe place, right? It's not going to make me fall. It's sturdy. I'm going to sit in it. But just because it is allowing you to be in that chair, it doesn't mean that you are to forget what comfort feels like what true comfortability feels like. Because we will forget that and we'll just make ourselves believe, oh, shoot, forget it. I'm going to sit in this chair again today. I'm going to sit in that chair again tomorrow. I'm going to sit in that chair again the next day, knowing good and well that chair is not comfortable. But we made ourselves believe that it is comfortable. So then we don't really even know what true comfort is because we have given ourselves a false sense of comfortability.
I like that. That's so true. That's really true. So, everybody that's listening, check your body right now. See what your posture is like.
Yeah, important. Important.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Jennifer. Hi, Elgelo. Thanks for joining.
Hi. Hey, y'all.
We be trying to say hello, y'all, as people come on. Sometimes we see it and sometimes we don't. So please forgive us, but we promise we'll call you out because we do appreciate your support. So
Yes.
thank you, thank you, thank you. Um, so with that, did you want to say anything else about that before we move to our next segment?
No, I just was inviting everybody just to check their
Okay,
body right now.
okay.
That was it.
So and again, y'all, we love analogy, so that's how we're going to do each segment because we want to make sure that we're hitting on the topics that we are praying about and that we feel like gives us what we need for true engagement in conversation. So, moving into our next one, we want to talk about that overpacked suitcase. Now, I know the men folk over here, they don't pack as heavy as the ladies do and probably be telling, look, that's too much stuff. But I don't know about nobody else. It's transparent too. So I'm talking about me. I will never forget when we went to Paris. And my girlfriend clearly told us how to pack. But we didn't listen. So I had a suitcase full of shoes. And then I had another suitcase full of clothes. And then I had another suitcase, little one to go on my shoulders. They had like my hygiene and my personal stuff in it. And when I tell you, oh my God, trying to carry all of that on cobblestone roads was a nightmare. I don't know about you, but I do know about you, Brittany, because we had a lot of things going
Yeah,
on,
we had
y'all.
two big suitcases
I
rolling
mean,
with our carry-on.
two big suitcases. Paid the money for the suitcases because you know the airport ain't gonna, the airlines ain't letting you come in free with your suitcase luggages. Um, but oh my gosh! And when we got there, I didn't even touch half of the clothes. Um, so we're gonna talk about the overpacked suitcases. We're gonna break that down from what we're talking about tonight. Try to fit in where you no longer belong. So,
Hey,
um,
Mama Ruby.
how you said hey to something?
Oh, I was just saying, hey, Mama
Oh,
Ruby.
okay. Hello, good for joining. So Brittany, let's go ahead and get it at so everything fits in the suitcase, but now here it is. I'm telling y'all, true story. Now you are exhausted from carrying all that excess luggage, all the excess clothes that you put in that luggage. That suitcase, you got to put it on the thing and see if it weigh right. If it's overweight, you got to pay extra money because you got an oversized suitcase now, right? And so that's how we are with life sometimes. We can start off with our own luggage set, and it's not that filled up, right? We kind of hit on that on last week, talking about taking on the weight that don't belong to you, right? Lay aside every weight that's so easily to beset you. And I know that and sin is with it. So for those it's like put it all away, lay aside every weight for the sake of the conversation. So, but you lay aside that, right? And so we sometimes can add unnecessary weight in our luggage. And now we wonder why we're so exhausted from getting to terminal A to terminal B. We about to run out of breath and pass out of breath, want to flag down the little people driving that cart. so we can get our luggage on there and sit down because we're out of breath because we're carrying so much excess luggage or excess weight in our luggage. So that is my analogy I want to talk about, kind of bringing this together, Brittany, is talking about that overpacked suitcase.
Mhm. And then, I think Apostle has, what was
Oh,
the
I
reason
can't
behind you
see.
packing so
I,
heavy?
yeah, I can't see. I gotta get. Let
I
me.
got you.
Okay. I'm sorry, Apostle Woods. I can't see
Next
comments,
time
y'all.
I have the comments stream on so you can see it.
Okay.
But he said, what was the reasoning behind you packing so heavy?
Because I could not have a made up mind. The mind was unstable, to be honest, of what I thought I would want to wear. Like, is it gonna be too cold? Okay, well, I need a dress. Okay, well, I need some jeans. Okay, I need, it's like I thought I needed all that stuff. So that's what it was, that unstableness, not knowing exactly what
Hmm.
I
The
wanted to pack
unknown.
in the suitcase, the unknown. Like, I don't know what the weather's gonna be like. I don't know if we're gonna, change 2 times a day, 3 times a day, extra stuff that just wasn't needed, honestly.
Extra shoes, a whole suitcase just
Yeah,
with shoes.
yeah, like,
One for shoes, one for clothes on both
yeah,
sides.
yeah, yeah.
And sometimes we can take that too, emotionally, right? Like some of us carry emotional items that we may pack years ago.
Mm.
And that can also be our overpacked suitcase. Sometimes you gotta let stuff go. If that weight is up and it's gonna, and just stay with me with the analogy. When you go and you put your suitcase on, and have it weighed. If it's above a certain weight, you have to pay extra. So I kind of tie that in with like carrying emotional stuff from years ago. The more you keep packing and carrying that over and you start weighing it, it's going to keep costing you at a higher price versus you take some of that stuff out of the suitcase, then you may not really, sometimes how I do, depending on how the trip is, I just do a carry-on that don't cost me nothing. Or if it do need to be weighed, it's the amount that it's supposed to be, or maybe under, so it doesn't cost me at a higher price if I don't have to do that. If
That's
that
good.
makes sense.
Oh, that makes perfect sense. Perfect sense. And I think too, Brittany, like, to what you said, dealing with that piece of the psyche, um, is that, sometimes guilt, right? Some of us pack in guilt, for different reasons, that don't even belong there. We're guilty
Hmm.
about something that we really shouldn't have had nothing to do with in the first place, right? And so when you look at that, guilty, like, I would say, like, with responsibilities, right? Sometimes we can take on responsibilities that are not ours. They're not ours. And then when we have to give it back, when we realize and we prayed about it and God let us know that's not yours, that's not your assignment, that's not yours to deal with, give it back. We tend to feel guilty because we
Hmm.
feel like we are responsible for helping that person or doing this or doing that. And we bring those things to us when in fact it didn't belong to us in the first place. So that feeling of guilt, right?
Yep.
Or guilty, you feeling guilty because you left a situation. And I'll be honest, like, I've talked to people who have been like in relationships where they wanted to leave, but for whatever reason, they felt like if they left, then that person would fall. Like that person would make it if they weren't there. And
Mhm.
that's guilt. So that, sometimes that's both sexes, the males and the females. Everybody should be able to relate to that. Sometimes we feel guilty of leaving a situation or something. It could be anything, a job even, but we feel guilty of leaving something that really is basically killing us. And I go back to, because I have a brain like an elephant, but I go back to what Apostle Wood said, 2 weeks ago, and he said that, if helping is hurting you, then it's not help. That's not
Mhm.
help. And so you can't be guilty.
It's a
You
false burden.
shouldn't allow yourself to feel guilty, because he said, that's fake. That's fake
Mm.
burden. That means you taking on somebody else's burden that didn't belong to you. So I just encourage you, this evening, stop letting people guilt trip you into stuff.
Oh yeah.
Stop letting them guilt trip you into stuff. That ain't your responsibility. And it
Mhm.
will be okay.
Yeah. Because healing is really realizing like you're allowed to unpack without permission. So just know when you're healed, you'll realize you're allowed to unpack without asking anybody for permission.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's key. I think that's key for me as well. And someone I think told me that one time, was when you got to make a decision. She said, you have to make a decision this year, but you don't need nobody's permission.
Uh-oh. I don't know if you can hear, but I think we lost you on your sound. Uh, let me let her know. I'll just continue. Yes, exactly. So suitcases are designed to carry, but they will only carry what you pack and deem necessary or appropriate for the journey. Could it be that we are packed with what we are self-respect or allow? The weight you carry is the direct result of the mindset that you have in that current moment or season. Oftentimes, new moments for season. Oftentimes, new season require a renewed mind. That is so true. The word tells us to be transformed by renewing of the mind. You can't put new wine into old wine skin. Change your mind, the body will follow the inside back in. Amen. I don't know if you can hear, but we can't. Okay. While she's figuring that out. So it is almost 8. But the next one was basically for the analogy, it's when you think about a plant that is in the wrong pot, right? So the pot fits you once, but now your roots have nowhere to go. And so just think about that because it's literally how, if you're planting something, I tried it, but I don't have the green thumb. But if you're trying to pot something, and it may have fit at that very moment when you put the seed in the soil and water it, but in order for it to continue to grow, it has to have room. So sometimes we have to make room, whatever our pot may be, whatever we may once fit in, when you know you're growing and you're trying to outgrow certain things, you have to make sure you have room to grow because if not, you're going to be stagnant. And you don't want to be stagnant because you're not going to have nowhere to grow. And so I guess instead of changing like the pot, um, people will say you're too much. But I like to always come back with the well, maybe you're just not doing enough, or maybe you're just not enough, right? Because growth will feel disruptive to containers that basically benefited from your smallness. And that just go with people, right? It may feel disruptive at first to what you're used to, where you're used to going out, hanging out, being at, or things you even used to say. um, that maybe benefit or they benefited from your smallness by not even speaking up at times. So just think about that when it comes to like a plant um, inside of the pot. And I believe we was trying to work this out today. And I'm gonna just keep going with it because she wasn't talking because she was already having a time today when it came to Wi-Fi. And I was like, oh, you know what? That's a good segment, like weak Wi-Fi and emotional signals, right? Like now, right? You can be connected, but the signal keeps dropping. And I think we also have experienced that in our life, right? Even with our mind and spiritually, like you can be connected to God, but some things we keep on dropping that sometimes we should be up on another level or elevating, but we know we're connected, but for some reason, either you keep dropping the ball or keep going back to the same thing, which goes back to what Apostle was saying. Like you really gotta have a renewed mind, and you keep explaining yourself. I think we talked about this before. Like stop over explaining yourself or waiting to be understood. And when we keep doing that, it's like you normalize the poor signal because at least it's something, right? Like maybe whatever the situation that may cause the poor signal, you're like, well, well, it may be poor, but it's still working. Now, in her case, because I'm going from the analogy from the personal, physical to like actually now, but in her case, there's a poor signal. She could have stayed on and just let it be, but instead, she ended up canceling out, logging out, and see if she can get even stronger signal. Because if it keeps, and I know she's probably tired, because if it keeps constantly buffering, and whatever that may be, if we keep constantly buffering in the situations that we in, or whatever it may be, whatever your buffering is, it does form some exhaustion. Like you keep going over and over and over again. You get tired. Like it gets very exhausting. So we were going to talk about the weak Wi-Fi because when she kept going through this earlier, I was like, that'll be a good segment because we go through that. Like it may be a poor signal, but because it's something, we just gonna keep going with it. Um, and let's see. I think. Oh, there you go. You missed. You came back on the part with weak Wi-Fi. So I went through that, and I actually used what you was going through now and what we had went through earlier, and how that ties in. When I was like, oh, you know what? That would be a good topic. So we just went over that.
That's why you have to be careful changing things. It ain't broke, leave it alone. Oh, goodness gracious. But anyway, so we are y'all talking about the other analogy with the plant in long pot, or what are you talking about now? I'm sorry.
No, we already did. So we talked about the weak Wi-Fi, and so I
Okay.
believe after the weak Wi-Fi, I think next was like how we can kind of contemplate dress up.
Yeah. And I think someone said something so profound. I was trying to get back to the words and things. Um, but and yeah, that's what it was. I was like, so there is no sound. What does that feel like um, when there's no sound?
Mhm.
Right? What does that feel like when there is no one around um, to say something to encourage you? What does that feel like? What does that feel like when you know how sometimes people say I prayed and I ain't heard God and it just feels like he ain't listening to me, he don't hear me. What is that? What is that? What does that feel like? What does that sound? So um, when we're talking about being able to um, not um, with Wi-Fi not working like it's supposed to, or things going in and going out, and someone said, Vince, there's no sound. And I'm like, what happens when there's no sound? Do we stop, or do we make our own music? Do we make our own
Good. I
sound?
like that.
Do we hear our own voice instead of waiting for someone else's voice? So when I sing that, and hi Jennifer, when I sing Jennifer Marie Wilson, put that, it immediately came to my mind like, so where's your sound? If Vince don't have no sound, where's your sound? So I just want to throw that in there. It's not part of our thing, but we really have to look at that. Like if we don't hear anything, then what? Then what do we do? Um, so make your own sound. Cry out to the Lord for your own self. You don't need no one to do that for you. You do it for yourself. It's nice that people do it, but you need to make sure that you hear your sound, so you recognize your voice. Um, so thank you for that, Jennifer. You helped me have something to say. And let me keep moving for this Wi-Fi go out again. um, but that was good, baby, and I will definitely go back and listen to that. So this is another one of my favorites for an analogy, right? Because I told y'all I love analogies to help people break things down. So as we're talking,
Hi,
cost,
Ebony. Hi, Brenda.
oh hi Stephanie, costumes and wrong play. I'm gonna say that again. You got that costume on, but you at the wrong place. Yeah, you were supposed to be over here at this play, but you got on a costume and you thought you were at the right place, but you at the wrong place. Y'all understand that? It ain't that you don't have a costume on. It's just you at the wrong place. You got to the wrong place. So I want to talk a little bit about that, Brittany, and break that down. In conversation for our audience.
Okay. And most of the time, um, the story really isn't yours. And so, what was the title when we was going through the subtitle? You ended up doing another one.
Yeah, it was costume in the wrong play, and I said you got all the fictitious. I
No,
think.
that's the imposter. Imposter.
Oh yeah, I said you were an imposter. Yep, yep,
Yeah, so that will be another segment coming, y'all. So literally,
yeah,
while we talking and just going through thoughts and stuff in everyday
yeah,
life, we'll end
yeah,
up coming up with topics and be like, "That's a good one." So
yeah,
we'll go more
yeah.
into depth with that
There's
one.
an imposter in the room. That's what
That's
I
what it
said.
was.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's an imposter in the room. Yeah,
Hmm.
and that's true, because there's a lot of imposters in the room.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So,
And when then you
um,
stop performing, that's when the real healing begins. Can't put on a show and you really ain't feeling nothing, or you're rehearsing or have rehearsed or been doing it since you're young, but it's really not real. You got to stop performing because ain't no real healing gonna begin.
yeah, yeah. Take off the costume so you can get to the right place.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And what was the other one we was saying? Because we was trying to come up with analogies, y'all. It don't be
yeah,
easy. So if y'all got ideas and tips, let us know. But even
yeah,
forcing the wrong key.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, that and I will break that one down in a little bit more with analogy. So you know how a keyboard player and a singer, right? You're supposed to be in that A flat, and you singing in B. Now the song is way off key because that's not the key you practice in. Or you're supposed to be C flat, and you over here singing A, and they're looking at you like, and the song don't sound the same, right? Because the melody does, but you know as soon as you open your mouth, that key is not gonna work for you, right? You're either gonna sound like Barry White, or you're gonna be screaming and trying to get to where Patti LaBelle is, and that's not where you need to be. So when we looking at that in that analogy case, then another one case said break that down even more for them. Put that in context of an actual keyboard and someone hitting that key, that you're out of key. So you got to make sure that you're on the right key when you're
Hmm.
going to try to fit into something. You gotta be on that right key because I'm telling you, another person that sings or knows music knows it's off key. Nobody else may not, but there's somebody sitting there like, whoa, 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 wow. And so we have to be careful to ensure that we are on that right key, right?
Mm-hmm.
When we're dealing with stuff like that. So don't force the wrong key, because
Mm-hmm.
it's not gonna sound right,
Yep, and
right?
that's something I think it goes back to what I think Lyric was saying that if it belongs, it's open. It opens up with less resistance. You don't have to force your stuff in. And so I can't remember exactly Lyric what you said because again I got two of these screens and stuff, but alignment doesn't mean no effort, right? It means no self betrayal. And I think your body always knows. So we could be in of encouragement. Just always listen to your signals and notice
Yeah.
the signals.
Yes.
Because anything you try to open
Yes.
up, whether it's a door with a key, you don't care if it was kind of cut the same way. There's something that's different because it might fit in, but if you have to do it even harder and have to keep jigging it, you shouldn't have to
Yep.
do it. It should be less resistance. It should just go right in, open right up. And I think
Yep.
that's the key to life, key to success, key to having a stronger relationship with God. And this is for me, just make sure that whatever the key may be to fit in whatever place, that it's not the wrong key.
That's right. That's right.
Don't give out skeleton keys to your emotions or life. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I definitely
Yeah.
agree with that. I definitely agree with that. Because just like you said, even when you get a duplicate key made, that groove, it'll fit in there, but it's not the original groove. Feel the groove.
Mm-hmm.
The groove, they made it the best they can to be able to fit the door, fit into the door lock. But look at the original key and look how smoother that one is.
That master key.
Yeah, the
It's
master
only one
key.
master key. You can
There
make
you go.
duplicate, but you got that
That's
master key.
master key.
Look at us over here coming up with more topics. I'm just kidding.
Yep, yep. So we know it's a little after 8. We got started a little late because of we are separate today. What are you talking? I can't hear. What time is it? Yeah.
Yeah, you're good. Go ahead.
Okay, good deal. But in closing, tonight, y'all, I've enjoyed the interaction, and this is live, and you can't control live. That's one thing about TV when it's live. You can't control it. You just have to learn to roll with the punches and go. But this is so important, and so I want to make sure that um, everybody just step back and take a look and ask yourself, am I trying to fit in? Am I forcing myself into a situation that no longer needs me? That I no longer uh, belong to? That I've outgrown, right? Ask yourself questions when you find yourself, how some people say, well, I was at a crossroad, I didn't know what to do. Then ask yourself, is this me anymore? If this is not me anymore, then I don't fit in. And I don't have to try to keep jamming my way into something that is no longer benefiting me and or my growth, whether it's personal, whether it's this psyche, whether it's this psyche or the overall psyche. You don't I want to encourage you all to please stop trying to fit into places that you just don't belong anymore. Cause the only person gonna be miserable in them shoes is you.
Yeah.
So I just want to leave that with y'all and just say, just ask yourself, am I fitting in? Or to belong? Am I fitting in instead of belonging? Because if I belong to something, then I don't have to worry about fitting in, right? Because I should be able, my spirit, their spirit, our focus, all that stuff should be together. But if I'm fitting in to something, um, then sometimes y'all it just doesn't work. And sometimes when we talk about we're having a spiritual uh, death or we're numb, we gotta examine and see what's causing it. Is
Mm,
it self-inflicted because we keep trying to fit in when we know
mm.
it's time to put that shoe up and go to the next one, or put that particular thing up and go to something different? So I just leave that with y'all tonight in closing. Just begin to ask yourself the question: am I trying to fit in? Is that why this thing is so uncomfortable? Am I trying to fit in where I'm going? And then don't forget to give yourself permission to grow. And give yourself permission to say, this don't work for me anymore. I need to move forward. So that's my wrap up. Thank y'all for tolerating my coming off the camera. And I don't know what's going on, but glory be to God, I made it through. Um, but that's what I want to leave with y'all. Think about that. The next time you find yourself getting overwhelmed with stuff, think about that. What's in that suitcase?
Yep. And we'll end with just because it fits doesn't mean it belongs.
Nope, not at all.
All
Not
right,
at
y'all. We love y'all. We might try to go live. I don't know. I gotta go back and listen to how this was played, but we might have to do a pre-recorded one on Friday. But we will see. Don't shake your head. We will see. But we love y'all, and we hope that you got something out of this that will really be an encouraging word. And be sure to share it with others. Where you do it physically with the share button, or even just having a conversation. That what we spoke about. You never know who might need a word, encouraging word, and a little motivation. So I love y'all, and we will see you Friday.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.